Daniel was a young human officer sent to the planet Valara as part of an exchange program. He had trained for years, dreaming of working among alien scientists, helping build peace between worlds. But he didn't expect his heart to be stolen by a soft-voiced Velaran girl named Alira. She wasn't like the other aliens he had seen in the files. She was graceful, calm, and kind. Her skin had a pale violet tone that shimmered slightly under sunlight. Her eyes were large and teal, always observing quietly, and her voice was gentle like music. Daniel met her on his third day in the science dome, where they were both assigned. "I'm Alira," she said, bowing her head slightly. Daniel smiled, trying not to stare. "I'm Daniel," he replied. He already felt awkward, unsure what was polite on her planet. But she smiled back, and somehow that made everything easier. They worked side by side for months. Alira was a biologist, always studying plants and life systems. Daniel helped with technical support and data transfers. Most days were quiet, filled with peaceful work and soft talks over shared meals. At first, Daniel thought it was just friendship, but slowly his feelings began to grow. It wasn't just her beauty. It was how she always remembered the small things he liked, like sweet fruit from the canteen or the music he listened to. It was how she looked at him when he talked, like every word mattered. It was how she laughed softly at his jokes even. The bad ones. He kept those feelings hidden. Maybe it was just him. Maybe Velarans didn't see love the same way humans did. And he didn't want to lose her friendship by saying something foolish. One evening, while they were watching the twin moons rise from the science dome's window, Daniel asked her, "Do you ever think humans and Velarans are too different to truly understand each other?" Alira looked at him quietly. "I don't think so. Sometimes different minds can still have the same heart." Daniel felt his heart beat faster. He wanted to say more, to ask what she meant. But instead, he nodded and looked away. Another time, when a small power failure hit the base and the temperature dropped, Alira found Daniel shivering in the storage room. She wrapped him in a thermal blanket and sat beside him, sharing her own warmth. "You humans are not made for cold," she teased gently. "Guess not," Daniel said. Shivering but smiling. Alira looked at him for a moment and whispered, "You are precious to me." Then she stood up quickly, as if embarrassed, and left before he could answer. Daniel thought about those words for days. Was it just a friendly way of speaking? Or did she mean something deeper? He didn't know. And again he stayed silent. Days turned to weeks. More shared stories, more close moments, more quiet glances that said things neither of them could say out loud. Daniel started writing a journal, just to keep track of what he felt. "I think I love her," he wrote one night. "But maybe I've already waited too long to tell her." One morning, while Alira was bent over her work, her long silver hair tied in a soft braid, Daniel almost said it, his lips parted. But just then, another officer walked in, and the moment passed. He scolded himself later. "Just say it, you coward." But it wasn't that easy. He didn't know how Velarans confessed love. He didn't know if she would accept it. And he didn't want to lose her, not like this. So he smiled the next day like nothing had changed. He laughed with her, helped her move samples, and stayed by her side. But inside, the feeling grew, deeper every day. Others around them noticed. Another human joked, "So, Daniel, when are you two going to stop pretending?" Daniel only laughed it off, but it stayed in his mind. One Velaran elder even said to him quietly, "She's waiting for something. Maybe a word, maybe a sign." That evening, Daniel sat alone by the dome's window, watching the stars above Valara. He whispered, "I love her." But she wasn't there to hear it. Not yet. The days continued like gentle waves, quiet, steady, familiar. Daniel and Alira spent almost every afternoon together inside the research dome. They studied samples, shared notes, and sometimes just sat in silence, listening to the soft hum of the base systems. Daniel had grown used to watching her, not in a strange way, but like someone who couldn't stop admiring the stars. Everything she did, from brushing her fingers across a glowing plant to tilting her head when thinking, stayed with him. He caught himself smiling too much when she was near, and when she smiled back, His chest always felt warmer. He had tried to bury his feelings. He told himself it was better to remain her friend than risk losing everything. But every day it got harder. One morning as they walked together toward the greenhouse dome, a group of Valoran students passed by. They greeted Elira and gave Daniel a long look, then whispered something in their own language. Elira's cheeks changed color, slightly faint violet turning deeper. Daniel noticed. "What did they say?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Elira looked away, a small smile forming. "They think we are close." Daniel laughed nervously. "Well, we are." "They mean something different," she added quietly, her eyes still looking forward. Daniel's smile faded a little. He wanted to ask more, but Elira quickly changed the subject and pointed at a strange new plant growing inside the dome. Daniel followed her lead, but his heart kept repeating the words, "They think we are close." That night, Daniel sat in his room, rereading old messages from Earth. His sister had written, "So how's alien life? Meet anyone special?" He typed back, maybe, but didn't press send. Instead, he stared at his desk where a small crystal gift sat. Elira had given it to him weeks ago. She said it was a symbol of friendship on Valara, but what if it meant something more? One of his human friends, Leo, knocked on the door. "You and her," Leo said without greeting. "You act like a couple." "Already, just tell her, man." Daniel looked down. "What if she doesn't feel the same?" Leo shrugged. "Then at least you'll know. But I don't think she's just being friendly. Aliens or not, love shows in the eyes." Daniel nodded slowly. Maybe Leo was right. Maybe it was time. But then came news, an unexpected one. Daniel was being transferred. A new assignment on another planet. He had one more week left on Valara. He didn't know whether to laugh or panic. When he told Elira, she froze for a moment. "When?" she asked. 7 days, he said softly. She looked away, her voice lower than usual. Oh, the next few days passed in strange silence. They still worked together, but something had changed. Fewer laughs, fewer shared glances. It felt like they were both holding something back. On the 5th night, there was a celebration. The human and Valoran teams had finished a successful joint experiment. Music played, lights shimmered across the dome, and food from both worlds was served. Daniel tried to enjoy it, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He found Elira standing near the garden wall, watching the lights in the sky. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I'm just thinking." "About what?" "Time, how it moves, how quickly things change." Daniel stood beside her. "I wish I had more of it here." She turned to him, her eyes meeting his. "Do you?" He wanted to say yes. He wanted to say, "I love you." But again, the words stayed locked inside. Instead, he said, "This place, it's become more than a mission for me." She looked down at her hands, then back at the stars. Daniel went to bed that night with a restless heart. He couldn't sleep. So he sat up and began writing, not in his journal, but a message. A real one. The war ended not with a roar, but with silence. After the battle at Haven 3, the Zarnuk fleet was broken. Many ships were destroyed, others crippled. General Vexer's pride was shattered. But instead of continuing the fight, humans chose a different path. Claire stood on the bridge of a massive human warship. She watched the Zarnuk homeworld grow. Closer on the view screen. Behind her, the crew moved quietly, ready but calm. "Orders?" A young officer asked. "We don't destroy planets," Claire answered firmly. "We don't kill civilians. Then what do we do?" The officer asked. Claire looked at the stars. "We freeze their fleet? Disable their weapons? Shut down their systems? Give them time to think?" Across the galaxy, news of humanity's restraint spread quickly. Some alien races whispered in awe. Others felt fear and respect. The message was clear: humans had power beyond reckoning. But they did not use it without cause. Vexer's fleet lay frozen in orbit, their ships silent, weapons cold. The Zarnuk people were alive, but their empire was humbled. On Earth, Claire addressed the human council. "This war changed everything," she said. "We showed strength, but also mercy. The galaxy will watch us now." General Parker nodded. "We have won more than battles. We earned respect, Claire smiled, and a warning. If anyone challenges us again, they will see what a real human war truly is. Back on the Zarnuk homeworld, Vexor stood alone, staring at the dark sky. No stars moved. No ships flew, he whispered to himself. We were not ready. The Empire would rebuild, but it would remember this day forever. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Humans were quiet before, but how their power was known. No one would dare test them lightly again. Claire looked out at the stars. Knowing the future was uncertain but hopeful. She had said it once, and now everyone believed her. You're not ready for a real human war. Message for her? I don't know how to say this, but I've cared about you for so long. I didn't plan it. I didn't expect it. But I love you, and I think maybe I always have. I just never knew how to tell you. He stared at the words. On the screen, his finger hovered over send. But he didn't send it. He closed the message and saved it instead. Maybe tomorrow. One more day. The next morning came with soft orange light pouring through the dome windows. Daniel woke up early. He stared at the ceiling for a long time before sitting up. He looked at the saved message on his screen. His heart beat fast, but his hands didn't move. The message was ready, but he WASN single quotes. Outside, the base was quiet. The wind moved slowly across the fields. Daniel walked toward the science dome and saw Alira already inside, checking data on her screen. Her silver braid was loose today, and she looked more tired than usual. You're early, Daniel said. She looked up, surprised but happy. So are you? They smiled, but something still hung in the air between them, unspoken words, shared thoughts they hadn't voiced. Daniel stepped closer and handed her a small container. I brought you breakfast, he said. Your favorite fruit, the yellow one, she blinked, touched. You remembered? Of course, he said. You always smile when you eat it. She opened the box slowly and picked up a slice. Thank you, Daniel. They sat side by side, quietly eating. The moment felt both simple and important. Daniel glanced at her and thought, maybe this is the moment. Maybe I can tell her now. But before he could speak, a voice came through the intercom. Attention, all team members. Report to the command dome in 15 minutes for farewell instructions. Officer Daniel's transfer briefing will begin shortly. The words cut through the calm like a sharp blade. Alira lowered her fruit. Daniel looked at the floor. So, it's really happening, she whispered. Yeah, Daniel said. It is. Neither of them said much after that. They walked together to the command dome. The briefing was quick. Final tasks, data handovers, transport timing. Daniel nodded through it all, but his mind wasn't really there. Later, he returned to his room and sat again in front of the screen. The message still waited. He read it 3 times. Then, finally, he deleted it. No message, he thought. I have to tell her myself. As the sun began to set, Daniel left his room and walked toward the garden dome. It was quiet there. Only the soft buzz of night insects and the gentle glow of alien flowers lit the space. Alira was already there, standing under the crystal leaf tree. Her back was to him. You always come here when something's on your mind, Daniel said softly. She turned slowly. Her eyes met his. They were calm, but something deeper shimmered behind them. And you always find me, she replied. He stepped closer. I don't want to leave with this stuck inside me, he said. I need to say it, even if it's too late. Alira tilted, her head slightly, listening. I've loved you for a long time, Daniel said. Maybe from the very beginning. But I didn't know how to say it. I was afraid. Afraid you'd think less of me, or laugh, or worse, walk away. She didn't say anything at first. She just looked at him. Daniel swallowed. But now I'm leaving, and I can't go without telling you. Then something strange happened. Alira laughed. It wasn't cruel or mocking. It was soft and light, like wind through leaves. Daniel blinked, confused. You're laughing? She stepped closer and reached out, gently touching his hand. You silly human, she said with a quiet smile. Do you know how long I waited for you to say those words? Daniel stared. You waited? She nodded. I didn't want to pressure you. I thought maybe humans needed more time. But every time you looked at me with those eyes, I hoped. Daniel felt warmth rush through him. Why didn't you say it first? Alira smiled. Because I wanted to hear it from you. They stood there, hands touching, two hearts from different worlds beating in rhythm. The stars above Velara began to shine, but neither of them looked away from each other. Daniel laughed now, too. Not from nerves, but from joy. I can't believe this, he said. I thought I waited too long. You were right on time. She whispered after the confession under the crystal leaf tree. Something changed between Daniel and Alira, but in the best way. They still laughed, still worked side by side, but now there was no wall between them, no silence, no fear. Only truth. They sat close, hands brushing now and then. Daniel felt lighter, like a heavy bag had finally been dropped from his back. Alira smiled more. Sometimes she would gently rest her head on his shoulder when they took short breaks. Daniel would look down at her and feel peace, but time was still moving. He had just 2 days left before his transfer. They didn't talk about it. Not yet. Both of them pretended time had slowed down. They enjoyed every hour shared meals, long walks across the glowing gardens, and even just sitting in silence while the wind moved through the tall alien grass. On the second-to-last night, Daniel and Alira climbed to the roof of the observation dome. It was a quiet, secret place. No one came there after dark. The stars above Velara stretched wide and bright. Alira pointed at a group of blue stars. Those are part of my birth sign. We believe it means a person with a deep heart. Daniel smiled. It fits you. She looked at him. And what about yours? Daniel chuckled. Mine's just a bear-shaped group of stars. Humans say it means strength and protection. Alira leaned against him. You have that too. His heart beat faster. He turned to her. Alira, I don't want to leave. Not now. She closed her eyes. I was afraid you'd say that. There must be a way, he said. I can ask. For a delay, maybe even request a full transfer cancellation. She looked at him, serious now. Are you sure? Your career, your plans. None of it matters more than you, he said softly. Alira single quotes as eyes grew warmer, her voice low. Then don't go. The next morning, Daniel marched to the command office. He spoke with the senior officer calmly but firmly. He explained that his mission had changed, that the relationship between humans and Velarans would benefit from his continued presence. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth, the officer raised a brow. This wouldn't be about that Velaran scientist you've been spending time with, would it? Daniel kept his tone respectful. Sir, she is the reason I understand Velaran ways better than any other human here. And yes, she matters to me. The officer looked at him for a moment, then nodded slowly. I'll make the request. But no promises. These decisions come from high command. That night, Daniel found Alira by the pond in the garden dome. I asked for the transfer to be cancelled, he said. She turned to him. And? They're thinking about it, he answered. Alira stepped forward. Thank you, he smiled. I'd cross galaxies to stay with you. She reached out and took his hand, holding it gently. Then I'll wait, even if they don't let you stay. Daniel shook his head. I won't leave. I'll find another way. For the first time since he arrived on Velara, Daniel didn't feel like a visitor. He felt like someone who belonged. They sat near the glowing water, stars reflecting on the surface. Alira rested her head on his shoulder again. You know, she said softly, on Velara, we believe when two hearts beat in sync during starlight. They are joined forever, Daniel smiled. Then I hope you're listening, because my heart is yours. Alira placed her hand gently over his chest. I hear it, the wind whispered around them. No fear, no doubt. Just two souls from different worlds who had finally found their way to each other. The next day began with a soft buzz at Daniel's door. It was a message from command. The transfer decision had been made. Daniel opened it with nervous hands. Approved. His request to stay on Velara had been accepted. He stared at the screen for a long time, letting it sink in. A wide smile slowly appeared on his face. He stood up, grabbed his jacket, and rushed out of his room. He found Alira in the data lab, scanning results on a large tablet. They said yes. He said, almost out of breath. Alira turned quickly. What? I'm staying, he said. I'm not leaving. She stepped forward, blinking. You're sure? Yes, Daniel said. As sure as I am about you. Alira didn't speak right away. Instead, she walked straight to him and gently held his hand. She looked up at him with quiet joy. Her fingers curled around his as if she never wanted to let go. Then we have more time, she said softly. That day felt different, lighter, brighter. The base was still full of work and tasks, but for Daniel, everything felt new. He and Alira walked together like they had done before, but now their hands stayed connected. There was no more hiding. Some people stared, a few whispered. Human and alien relationships were still rare, even on peaceful planets like Valara. But most smiled and accepted it, especially those who knew both of them. Leo, Daniel's friend, walked by and grinned. Finally, Daniel laughed. Yeah, finally. Took you long enough, Leo teased. Later, during a calm hour near sunset, Daniel and Alira sat outside under the shade of tall, leafless trees. Alien birds chirped quietly nearby. The sun on Valara was large and golden, casting long shadows across the grass. I keep thinking about how we met, Daniel said. I was nervous just to say your name, Alira smiled. And I thought you were too serious. But then you dropped an entire tray of food in front of me. That wasn't my best moment, he said with a laugh. It made me laugh, she said. I like that about you. Daniel looked into her teal eyes. You're everything I didn't know I was looking for. Alira leaned her head against his shoulder. And you're the one I waited for, even before I understood what waiting felt like. They sat in silence for a while, just watching the sky. No need for more words. Their closeness said enough. As night arrived, they returned to the science dome. There was still work to finish, but now even that felt special. Every small task was a moment shared. Alira handed Daniel a sample vial and said, We make a good team. We always did, he replied. I just didn't know it back then. Sometime later, while organizing equipment, Daniel found the small crystal she had given him months ago. He picked it up and turned to her. Does this still mean friendship? He asked. Alira walked over, took the crystal gently from his hands, and smiled. It can mean more, she said. Like what? She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a different crystal, one that shimmered with a soft purple light. This one is for connection, she said, between hearts. She placed it in his hand. Daniel stared at it, then at her. You carry this around? For a long time, she said, waiting. Daniel closed his fingers around the gift. Then I'll keep it safe, always. That night, Daniel wrote in his journal again. The same one he had once used to hide feelings he couldn't say. I told her. She felt the same. I stayed. And for the first time, I think I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Weeks passed, and Daniel and Alira's bond grew stronger every day. They worked together, shared meals, and explored the glowing gardens of Valara during their free time. Every small moment felt precious because they knew how rare their chance was. Some mornings, Alira would surprise Daniel with breakfast made from Velaran fruits he had never tasted before. Daniel loved watching her light up as she explained the meanings behind each dish. He tried to learn the language of flavors, but mostly he just enjoyed being near her. One afternoon, the base received visitors, delegates from other planets who came to study the cooperation between humans and Velarans. Among them was a tall, serious alien diplomat named Zarthan. He looked down at Daniel and Alira during a presentation, his eyes sharp. After the meeting, Zarthan approached them. I hear you two have a close connection, he said in a deep voice. It is unusual, but promising. Daniel smiled politely. We believe understanding comes from more than just work. Alira nodded. He is important to me. Zarthan studied them both for a moment. Then he said, May your bond be strong enough to show others the power of unity. Daniel and Alira exchanged glances. It was the first time someone official had recognized their relationship. It gave them hope. But not everything was easy. Some of the older Velarans frowned at their closeness. They whispered about differences in species, customs, and futures. Daniel heard rumors that some humans were not pleased either. One evening, Alira found Daniel alone in the garden dome, looking troubled. "What's wrong?" she asked gently. Daniel sighed. "Some people don't accept us. They say we are too different. That this won't last." Alira took his hand. "Differences make us stronger, not weaker." "I want to believe that," Daniel said. "But sometimes it's hard." "We will face it together," she promised. "Just like we faced the silence before." Her words gave him strength. They spent the night planning ways to show their friends and leaders that love and friendship could cross worlds. They organized small gatherings where humans and Velerans could share stories, music, and food. Daniel told stories of Earth while Alira taught songs of Velara. Slowly, the ice began to melt. More people smiled at their relationship. Some even asked questions, curious to understand rather than judge. One day, Daniel surprised Alira with a small wooden box. Inside was a simple ring made from earth silver. "This is a human symbol," Daniel explained. "It means commitment. I want you to have it." Alira's eyes filled with tears. She accepted it with both hands. "I will wear it always." She then reached into her bag and pulled out a glowing Velaran crystal, shaped like a flower. "This is my gift," she said, "a symbol of my promise to you." They exchanged gifts, hearts full of hope. Their love became more than just a secret or a quiet hope. It was a promise, a bridge between two worlds. One night, as they watched the twin moons rise, Daniel whispered, "Thank you for waiting." Alira smiled softly. "Thank you for finally saying it." And with that, their future felt wide open, full of stars and endless possibilities. The days turned into weeks, and soon it was time for Daniel and Alira to face a new chapter together. Their love had grown stronger than either had imagined possible, and the once quiet friendship had blossomed into something powerful and true. One morning, Daniel woke early and found Alira standing on the observation deck, looking out at the rising twin suns. She was calm, but there was a spark in her eyes he had not seen before. "Good morning," Daniel said softly, walking beside her. "Good morning," she replied, turning to smile at him. "Today is a special day," Daniel said, reaching for her hand. Alira single quotes as smile grew wider. "It is. They had decided to make their bond official in a way both their people could understand. On Velara, there was a ceremony where two souls would promise to stay together through all challenges, sharing their lives as one. Word spread across the base, and soon friends from both worlds gathered in the garden dome. The glowing plants seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating. The elder Velaran who once whispered about their closeness now stood beside them, blessing their union with quiet words. Human officers smiled and nodded in approval. Daniel felt his heart swell. This was more than he had ever hoped for. The ceremony was simple but beautiful. Alira and Daniel exchanged the silver ring and the Velaran crystal flower, symbols of their promises. Their hands joined, they looked into each other's eyes, speaking words of trust and love in both their languages. "We will face all challenges," Daniel vowed. "We will grow together," Alira promised. As they sealed their promise with a gentle touch, a soft breeze swept through the garden, carrying the scent of alien flowers and earth blossoms. After the ceremony, they spent the day with their friends and colleagues, sharing stories and laughter. The walls between species seemed to fade, replaced by warmth and hope. Later that night, Daniel and Alira stood alone beneath the vast sky. Stars glittered above like diamonds scattered on black velvet. "Do you ever think about the future?" Daniel asked. "Every day," Alira replied, "and I see us together always." Daniel smiled. "Me too, no matter what comes." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "You taught me courage, and you taught me patience." They sat quietly, feeling the peaceful hum of Velara around them. Months passed, and their love continued to inspire others. The base began hosting more cultural exchanges. Humans and Velerans learned to understand each other better, and more friendships formed. Daniel and Alira became symbols not just of love between two people but of hope between two worlds. Sometimes when they walked through the glowing gardens, Children from both species would follow, asking questions about Earth, Valara, and love. Daniel would smile and say, "Love is a language all creatures can speak." Alira would nod, adding, "And it is the strongest bond we have." Their story was shared across planets, reminding everyone that sometimes the greatest adventures begin with a simple word, "I love you," and that sometimes waiting patiently can bring the sweetest surprise. Daniel never forgot the day Alira laughed when he finally told her. It was the moment everything changed. Now, hand in hand, they looked to the stars ready to face whatever the universe had next. Together, always.